I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending February the 1st. We had feeder cattle going right into the feedlot selling $3 to $6 higher. Calves weighing over 550 pounds, some of those being backgrounded, some of those going into the feedlot, selling firm to $5 higher. But your lightweight calves weighing under 5.5, and all weights of true stocker cattle, I mean cattle that are thin fleshed, hard, long time weaned, really green and capable of doing a lot of gaining out on some type of forage, selling $5 to $15 higher. And maybe funny to see talking about stocker cattle in that particular manner in the beginning of February, but that's the reality. Is these guys are really going after these stocker type cattle because feed's so high. We know hay's short, but they're going to try to just stall those cattle out and maybe hold off and try to keep them going on something until some grass arrives. Now, if you're down in the southeast, they've had a lot of moisture down in that area. If the temperatures would warm up, and they probably got some forage down there to eat and in certain places. But the pressure that we've seen the last 2 weeks since we had that big run up right there at the beginning of the year, that pressure has really gave way this week as the board come out Monday sharply higher off that bullish cattle on feed report. The on-feed totals were down 5.6%. It was really bullish because our placements were less than 100%, where most all the analysts had them pegged to be well over 100%. And December ended up being 10 out of 12 months in 2012 that placements were lower than they were the same time a year ago, which is huge. And we're just starting to see it's going to be very evident that there's not going to be near as many cattle that have been on feed. The biggest numbers of cattle we have on feed right now are cattle that are market ready, and the market ready totals are just going to become smaller and smaller and smaller all the way down the line, which means that your market's going to be strong and your prices are going to keep going up really on your fed cattle. But also Japan announced this week that they're going to ease the restrictions on their imports of US beef from those having to be less than 20 months old, and now they only have to be less than 30 months old, which goes right along with other countries that use our product in that part of the country. However, a lot of people think that Japan was sopping up everything that they could get their hands on out of the United States that was 20 months of age and younger, and that's not true. There was more product that they could have taken if they'd have wanted to. Now, the market's probably going to change on all that, but that does not necessarily mean that Japan is going to be taking a lot more product. It just means the restrictions have been eased quite a bit. But the main thing is your feeder cattle numbers are just getting as tight as everybody thought they were going to get, and maybe even faster than they thought it was going to get that. We've only gone a month into the year, and our year-to-date nationwide auction receipts are already 20% lower than they were a year ago. We're just evaporating so fast, and up in Nebraska and places, there was some places that had some big specials this week. When those are over, these stock show specials are now all over. Guys are getting through the bulk of their big runs, and you talk to these sale barn guys and they don't know where the cattle are going to come from. And everybody's grandpa, including mine, said that the money will run out before the cattle do. Now, that may be true, but we can still get awfully tight before that happens, and it just looks like our runs are going to get down to nearly nothing. But the really big push on these lightweight calves, a lot of places saw them jump 10, 15, even $20 higher in spots. But these bigger stocker type cattle, like in Phillips, South Dakota, really top quality cattle, but they had a load that weighed 606 and called thin flesh. Those are the kind of cattle guys want to turn out. Load weighing 606, bring 175. Another thin load weighed 654 to 170. Then had a load marked fancy weighing 713 pounds at 164. Now, not all those cattle will go out on, not all these types of cattle will go back to grass or be turned out on something, but a lot of them will, And watch this summer, guys will turn cattle out and let them get big. They'll let them get to weighing in the 9s and maybe over 1,000 pounds, which a lot of them do up in the northern plains, but there'll be a lot more of them that do. They'll be sending cattle into the feedlot weighing well over 1,000 pounds on cheap gains, saying we have some type of pasture out there, and now we don't have to worry about them getting a little bit older because we don't have the 20 months to worry about. Interest is cheap, so look for guys to try to turn bigger cattle out and let them get a whole lot bigger than normal on the grass. But cattle inventory come out pretty much as expected, as cattle and calves total down 2%. Your beef cow numbers compared to last year down 3%. But one thing that was a little bit surprising, your beef replacements, well, we didn't expect much change there, and they were up 2%. So if that's true, it's showing that the people are already showing interest in trying to rebuild that herd. If we do get some moisture and guys are able to hold more heifers back, that's only going to make the feeder cattle availability even tighter. And it looks like maybe we're starting to get to the point where we're getting some moisture. The outside 2/3 of the United States has had good moisture through this winter. This week had a pretty nice front move from New Mexico. It kind of crossed over the northern part of the Texas Panhandle, across some of Kansas and through Missouri, and went on into that eastern corn belt that really needs as much moisture as they can get. But right here in Missouri, the majority of the state of Missouri got 2 to 3 inches of rain, and it fell fast and filled some ponds up. Not the big ponds, but the little ponds got full. And in southern Missouri, guys talking about overflowing ponds, and nothing could be better than that. We've been hauling water since late summer, and more so than the ground moisture, really needed pond water. This week's regional weighted averages: in the north central states, a 700 to 800 pound steer this week cost you $149.26 compared to $144.96 last week and $156.04 a year ago. Down in the south central states, a 600 to 700 pound steer cost you $154.52 compared to $151.94 last week and $161.36 a year ago. And down in the southeastern states, the calves on order 5 to 6 weight steer cost you $158.23 compared to $152.21 last week and $163.32 a year ago. That wraps up your market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. And from the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.